Hi, so this is a video I've wanted to make for a little while now, and here it goes. I've now got well over 1,700 subscribers, so thank you to everyone who's come to my channel and supported my channel. I intend to do some things with it, maybe polish it up a bit, edit, delete, add. I don't know. I just want to have a little review of it fairly soon. But in the meantime, I thought it would be interesting to do something a little bit different, which is to talk about some of the channels that I subscribe to and that I watch. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that I kind of come across and watch. Some of them I go back to, some of them I don't. I think there is a lot of good quality stuff online if you look around. There is also a lot of rubbish, if we're being honest. And there's some things I look at, I think, my goodness, how on earth does that get millions of views? And then there's other videos I think this deserves a lot more. So I try to support those I think that are of a good quality. Um, what I look for, I look for a degree of professionalism. Um, I mean, comedy is great, but I think that one thing that really puts me off is when people are addressing serious subjects and they're just flippant about it. I'm not talking about parody or satire. I'm talking about when you get serious things that are overly sensationalized or done in such a way that it's just off-putting. So I do like a degree of professionalism. Um, anyway, without further ado, these are just some of the channels that I like. There's probably others, but these are some that come to mind. Now, I'm a long-time boxing fan, and with a lot of boxing videos, I find that they're ruined by being dominated by an incessant noise in the background that just doesn't really lend itself to the video. Now, with boxing videos or any martial art, you'd expect a sort of adrenaline type music, like you would get in Rocky 4 or Rocky 5 or, the Jean-Claude Van Damme films, that sort of adrenaline-inducing music. So that's great. But some of them I find, maybe it's just a question of personal taste, but I find that some of them, the intros are just like, whoa, that's an assault on my eardrums. Just like, it's off-putting. I just find it a bit messy and I don't like it. But there are a few boxing channels I feel that are very watchable. Here's a few that come to mind. HNZA God. By the way, I might put links to some of these channels if I can, if time permits. HNZA God. I assume NZ is New Zealand. I'm not sure, but anyway, HNZA God. Um, that guy or that group, some of these may be collaborations, puts together some very interesting videos, and they're very, the thing with martial arts is very often people think it has to be about intensity and loud noise and action. Sometimes there's a poetry there too that can be just as effective, and I think Ha NZA God does that. Another channel that's quite similar, Rainy Day Boxing. They tend to focus on individual fighters and kind of tribute videos. What I like about that channel is they focus on famous fighters like the Klitschko brothers, Anthony Joshua, Muhammad Ali, people like that. But they also focus on less well-known fighters who perhaps deserve more recognition. An example being the late Alan Minter. Well, I'm not sure if he was featured in Rainy Day Boxing, but one of those channels I believe has featured him. He was an accomplished British middleweight of the 70s and 80s. Passed away recently. So if you're a boxing fan, I recommend NZA God, Rainy Day Boxing. Sometimes the music just really fits like the poetic, almost beautiful style of training of some of these guys. It really works well. Check it out. And each video is unique. They don't blend into one another. They're all unique. Another one is more from an analytical point of view as opposed to tribute videos, and that is Rummy's Corner. Now that guy, I like his style. I think he's very fair, very professional in the way that he conducts and presents videos. A lot of so-called boxing fans, they just go out to trash fighters. They just go out to call these men names, you know. I respect boxers. I think it's a sport that takes a lot of courage. So I have a higher opinion of boxing journalists and boxing commentators who have a basic respect for the fighters because they know what these people put themselves through. And I think Rummy does that. He analyzes his thoughts on where fighters are at, scheduled fights, speculation of fights, a fighter's ability. And, he's not neutral, he has his opinions, but I just think he's professional in the way he goes about it. And I would like to see more of that in the boxing community. He's also very in depth. He justifies all his reasoning. It's not just trash talking. He justifies his thoughts on things. And I respect that. Within the boxing world, incidentally, Michelle Joy Phelps, boxing journalist, one thing I like about her style is, again, she's respectful to all the fighters. She doesn't trash talk. She doesn't, when she interviews guys, she always tries to do it in a respectful way. I feel that some boxing commentators are just, I don't know how they get off on calling someone a card or a tomato can or anything like that, when, they're not the ones in the ring. So I respect boxing commentators who do that. So for boxing fans, Ha NZA God, Rainy Day Boxing, Rummy's Corner. Check them out. Now, totally different subject. Top fives. Now, just a word here. There's a few videos that have a similar title to that. There's like Nuke's Top Fives, which I'm not a huge fan of. I just don't particularly like the style. But what I'm talking about is a British guy who does the commentary. I don't know what his name is, but I think it's a pretty professional style. And the top five videos, it's like countdowns, usually paranormal activity, unusual mysteries, unexplained videos, that sort of thing. But I feel that his style is very professional and it's not overly sensationalized. And I just like the channel. I think it's well put together. If I have one slight criticism, and I have raised this candidly on his channel, sometimes he gets pronunciation of places wrong. And I think for a popular channel with a lot of views, he maybe needs to do a little bit more homework on that. That would be my only critique of that channel. There's sometimes basic pronunciation of geography, place names, he just gets wrong. Uh, and it's a pity because it is a good channel and the content is very interesting. Um, Now, a similar channel to that is Bedtime Stories. Now, this has nothing to do with Cinderella or Jack and the Beanstalk or what you might expect, like children's bedtime stories. Quite the contrary, some of the content is actually rather disturbing. However, it's a very unique channel and, in my opinion, one of the best around. I came across it probably half a year ago. A unique thing about this channel is the cover art, or rather the artwork that they use. Rather than presenting videos via photographs on archival material, they actually have on their team an artist who does some very, very good illustrations of the people and stories that they're featuring. Tend to be, again, paranormal, unexplained sort of cases, UFO sightings, um, and they do a whole range of stuff. So I really, really recommend that. They do black and white art, but it's things that you wouldn't necessarily find elsewhere. One, for example, is the Manchester Pusher, which was an unexplained case or series of events in the northern British city of Manchester, northern English city of Manchester, where people just mysteriously drowned in canals and an exceptional number of young men over the years. That's just one example, but there's many others. Um, I'm trying to remember the name. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. I also like the fact it tries to be diverse geographically. Okay, a lot of the cases are in the United States, but there's some from Brazil, from Australia, from other parts of the world. So it's definitely worth checking out. And again, a big, big catch for me about that channel is the very professional style of the narrator. Those guys really do their homework and they go in with an open mind, neither fully skeptical or fully believing. Just with a neutral approach. They lay out the details, and I just think it's a very good channel. and I hope they continue to grow. So, bedtime stories, check it out. Now, if you're interested in real crime, one channel we recommend is Caitlin Rose. She is a British YouTuber, and I believe she has a background in criminal psychology, which she took at university. But what I like about her is she isn't pretentious. She doesn't pretend that she's an expert, but she just lays out the details of famous criminal cases. And what I like is she's dealing with some quite traumatic cases like child murder, serial killers, that sort of thing. But she does it in a very professional way, befitting the subject nature. On the contrary, I've come across like I think it was BuzzFeed, which is not a channel I like for the most part. They had some guys that were doing real crime cases and they were just flippant about it, like turning it into a big joke when we're talking about, real people who have suffered. Caitlin Rhodes is the opposite. She's very professional. She does her homework. She doesn't claim to be an expert. She just lays out the details of the case. And, she brings awareness of these things, which makes for interesting case studies. And I just think she does it in a very professional way. Caitlin Rhodes. Final one I'll name. There may be others, but well, there's two more I'll name. The Great War. This was a series that ran from 2014 to 2018 and actually beyond. And as the title implies, it covered World War One and a lot of the history and the politics around that. The videos were very comprehensive. Okay, they were largely about the military standpoint, and a lot of it would be about military techniques and so on, and battle strategies, which is not necessarily something I'm that interested in, but I am interested in history. And unfortunately, I forget the name of the guy off the top of my head, the historian. Uh, yeah, I'm not gonna, as I'll say the wrong name. I'm not gonna try that. But the Great War, it's a great series, and they cover all sorts of theaters of the war. Often with World War One, it just popular culture tends to focus more on the Western Front. With this series, it covered everything: the Eastern Front, the Italian Front. It covered all sorts of aspects of World War One. So if you like history, that's a channel worth checking out. Indy Liddell, I think that's what the guy's called. And apologies if I've got that wrong. Finally, one more I would recommend: Eons. Now, I've long been interested in evolution and that long time scale of history. And Eons is a very interesting channel. They get a number of people who have background in geology, paleontology, anthropology, that sort of thing. And Eons, as the title implies, covers millions of years, not thousands, not human history, but the long, long, long time scale of Earth. They're very informative. They're good science videos covering various epochs and eons, and they do it in such a way that's easy, it's accessible. This is quite comprehensive information, and I think the style that they do it in is very approachable and accessible to a wider audience. So Eons, PBS Eons actually, it's a full title. Um, Actually, one more channel I recommend just come to my mind, Folklorist. This is an American guy. He does kind of well-known cases of folklore. For example, the Coatingly Fairies of Northern England, suburb of Bradford, at the turn of the last century, was a famous case of fraud. But he covers all sorts of well-known folklore cases, and it's kind of semi-comedic where he gets people to dress up and there's a little role play going on. But I just like those videos. I think they're well done. They're entertaining whilst being informative and interesting, and it covers aspects of folklore in Britain, in Europe, in North America. It's a channel worth checking out. So yeah, those are all channels I would recommend. I have a wide range of interests. Um, Feel free to recommend any channels that you think I might be interested in, and time permitted, I'll check them out. But just once again, I'll go through those. So, The Folklorist, um, The Great War, Bedtime Stories, Top Fives, Caitlin Rose, Eons, Rummy's Corner, Rainy Day Boxing, and HNZA God. Those are the channels that I would recommend. Check them out. By the way, I'm sure there's many others that I haven't named there that I like, but that will suffice for now.